Have you got a sloppy sound problem? Well, if you're struggling to get your instruments in the pocket, this is the video for you. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite trick to bring some groove back into your mixes. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. My name is Dylan Pines, and welcome to another mix tutorial. So today we are going to be talking about my favorite technique to get your sounds in the pocket, getting them to all gel together rhythmically to create that groove that you're looking for. But before we get started, I want to let you know we're giving away a free bonus today. So we're actually giving access to our editing checklist. So this is every single step that you need to be taking to make sure that you are getting your mixes up to professional standards. If you want to make sure that you're not missing any steps whenever you're cleaning up your session, then this is definitely a must-have. So just click the link on screen or down in the description below to get your own free access. So with that said, let's talk about my favorite editing technique. We're going to be talking about nudging. So what nudging is basically just moving regions, a few milliseconds to the left or to the right to get them to kind of fit into the rhythm of the song, to get them to lock in with the rest of the instruments. Now, this might sound kind of basic, and to some people it is, but you would be shocked how many times I've tried to go in and do advanced editing work, only to realize that I just needed to nudge the drums back a bit, or nudge the vocals forward a bit, or nudge the bass maybe 10 milliseconds forward and the drums 5 milliseconds back. It's something that's really, really simple, but unbelievably powerful. So let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. So I have up here a mix that I'm working on. You'll probably be able to tell that something just feels kind of off about all of the rhythm of this band.
I give all to beats and bread. Sick of not feeling my best.
So if you've got some tight ears, you're probably thinking like, okay, well, the drums feel a little bit like a runaway train, like they're really, really far ahead of the beat. And the vocals feel like they're just lazing back, go with the flow, which is the exact opposite of where the drums are at. So what do? Either you could go in, you could try to individually move each drum hit onto the grid using your elastic audio, or you could try nudging it. That's always going to be your first line of defense, is nudging. So to access your nudge tool, every DAW has a different way of doing it. In Logic Pro, you just need to go and hit this little drop down button, your toolbar. You might have to right click, hit Customize Toolbar, and make sure that nudge value is selected. But that's all that this particular thing is. You can select like a bar, a beat, a division. I almost always will select either 10 milliseconds or 1 millisecond. I don't really ever mess with any of this other stuff. So let's start off with the drums. I'm just going to grab all of my drums and I'm just going to nudge it back 10 milliseconds at a time. See if that helps with our rhythm problem. So I'm going to play it again without nudging it just so that you can hear what it sounds like. And then I'll start with the nudging.
I give all to beats and bread.
Okay, let's just try 10 milliseconds. So I'm just going to click this once. And it didn't even look like much happened. And that's because we're moving it so subtly. But it can make a big difference.
I give all to beats and bread.
Okay, we're going in the right direction. I think we need to go a little bit farther. Let's try 20 more milliseconds.
I give all to beats and bread. Sick of not.
Okay, I feel like I'm almost there. They're still a little ahead of the beat. So let me hit it one more time. And now let's listen.
I give all to beats and bread.
Let me actually mute the vocals because I already know those are kind of behind the beat. Let me just listen in terms of the rest of the instrumentation. I'm feeling it. I feel like it's just still a hair too fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my nudge value and I'm going to switch over to 1 millisecond. Because I feel like if I take it back another 10 milliseconds, that's just too far. So I'm just going to basically do some little micro tweaks. And let's try just doing 5 milliseconds. So I'm going to hit this button 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see what it sounds like now. See, now my head is bobbing for the first time. I feel like it's really kind of like getting in behind the groove. It's getting into that pocket. Maybe try 1 or 2 more. That was maybe 1 too much. Sweet. So now let's add our vocals back in. You unmute all this. And we're going to need to move it forward in the mix just a bit.
I give all to beats and bread. Sick of not feeling my best.
Okay, let's try 20 milliseconds at first.
I give all to beats and bread. Sick of not feeling my best. Talking through.
And this is a situation where I might actually want to mute the drums and listen to the rest of the instrumentation and see if it's lining up with that.
I give all to beats and bread.
So I'm going to grab everything. I feel like I only really needed to do maybe 10, 15 milliseconds of nudging. So I'm going to take it back by 1. Took it a little bit too far. We bring the drums back in. Let's see what that sounds like.
I give all to beats and bread. Sick of not feeling my best.
Okay, now I'm going to switch over to 1 millisecond. I feel like I went too far back, so I'm just going to nudge it to the left. See if that kind of locks it in.
I give all to beats.
A little bit too far.
I give all to beats and bread. Sick of not feeling my best.
You want to start bobbing your head. Once you kind of start getting this going, that's when you're locking into that pocket. That's where you're getting that groove that's finally coming in. Based on where we started, this is sounding so much better. So now that you've seen it in action, here's the big question for me. When should I do this? Well, I'm a big fan of getting all of my editing done before the mix, so that basically I can start the mix with a clean slate. I'm not going to have to go in and mess with all of my already created organization. It's going to sound good. I've just got to make it sound better. So that means that I'm going to want to do my tuning beforehand, my rhythmic editing beforehand, my cleaning beforehand, and my nudging beforehand. So whenever you're doing nudging, you can either try nudging an entire performance, or you can try splitting up that performance into individual sections, which for me is usually what I do. I might split, for example, the chorus up into 1 or 2 sections and try nudging those independently. Because the drummer might, they might go really, really hard in the big part of the chorus, but then in the down part, they might lay back into the beat. Now, imagine you didn't split those 2 sections up. If you were to, say, push the drums back by 40 or 50 milliseconds, well, during that downbeat part, you are going to have drums that are now really behind the beat, where maybe they weren't even much of a problem before. And now all of a sudden they feel super sluggish. Not what you want. So split your regions up and edit them separately. Hopefully that's going to allow you to get all of your instruments in the pocket all the time. So that about wraps it up for me. Before you head out, make sure to grab that edit checklist cheat sheet. It's going to be really, really helpful as you actually try to get this kind of professional level of sheen and clean on all of your mixes. Just click the link on screen or down in the description below and get your own free access. And if you're new here, hi, hello. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. We make tips and tutorials just like this one every single week on this channel. We'd love to help you grow. That has been it for me. This has been Dylan Pines with Musician on a Mission. And remember, create regardless.